Hey, let's find some grad school programs. So, again, this is Mike Robinson, putting together some informational videos about people, not about people, but ways in which people can find, apply, and get into graduate schools. Focusing on biology, in particular marine biology, but this applies to lots and lots of different disciplines within the natural sciences, at least. Okay? Okay, so most of you, people that I work with, the undergraduates that I know, most of you will go the route of choosing a grad school so you can work with a particular advisor. Okay, talked about that elsewhere, but what we're going to talk about now is the first step, which is finding that advisor. So, to do that, right now, what you should be doing is building your big list. Okay? So, your goal is to build a very long list of potential advisors. Now, don't worry yet about who is a good fit. Although, if you know someone's going to be a terrible fit because you've met them or there's just horrible, horrible stories about them, okay, go ahead, you can dismiss them. But most of the dismissing is going to come later. Okay? So if you're unsure about someone, right? If you're like, hey, this person could be someone I'd want to work with, boom, put them on the list. When you're building your list, you want to put enough details in so it's very useful at a later date. Now, you don't have to put every single detail in there, right? You're trying to strike a balance between having enough detail that you can look at the list later and it's useful to you, but without spending hours and hours getting every little bit of detail about some people for whom you're not going to eventually apply. Okay, so this is kind of a dirty list that's just going to include lots and lots of different people. Okay, this list should be a living list, right? So, meaning that you're going to add people, you're going to add notes, you're going to add more details about someone. Maybe you'll take some people out, okay? You're not simply going to sit down one day and make a list and that's it, right? So, you should have this list that you're ready to put the list together and over time adjust the list, all right? Now you'll probably now okay, so don't you're all going to be in different parts of your graduate school schedule, but what you're probably going to do is start contacting people on this list late in the summer, early in the fall. You're not necessarily going to contact everybody. That's not the point of this list, to give you a list of people that you're going to contact of everyone. But that's probably when you're going to shift from building this list of lots and lots of people to winnowing it down and contacting some people. That's just to give you an idea. Okay? So, right now, what we're concerned with is building this list. Okay? So, depending on when it is, you might be starting this spring of your junior year, summer of your junior year, summer after your junior, before your senior year. But it's going to depend on your particular grad school situation. So, how do you find people for the list? One, you meet people. You go to conferences, you talk to people, chat people up, write down the information about who they are when you spoke to them, etc., etc. Maybe someone comes and gives a guest seminar at your school. Go up and talk to them afterwards. Write down that information, right? Details about your meeting, when you met them, who they were, etc., etc. All right. Ask your professors and other people you might know. Say, hey, I'm looking for grad school positions. You know anybody? Can you give me some recommendations? All right. Could be maybe grad students that you meet at a conference. Hey, who do you work with? Do you like them? Or you ask other faculty at the conference, hey, so maybe you're not interested in taking graduate students next year, but do you know people who are? What about your old advisor? So ask people around. Look up research papers that you like and find the authors. They could be potential graduate school advisors. All right, let's think. Let's do kelp, forest ecology research, and you want to do research PDF or research paper. Boom. All right, I've already looked up a couple of these already. Let's click on this one. Let's check that out. Boom. Monitoring and evaluation of forest ecosystems. So this is not a paper in a scientific journal, but it's a paper's got a bunch of authors, and here are people who are ostensibly faculty. Mark Carr is definitely someone who I know of. These other people, I have to admit, I don't know who they are, but it doesn't mean that they're not great people. It's just I'm not a kelp ecologist. Okay, so here's a whole list of people that you might want to then look up. All right, this person, Reef Check California, that sounds like it's an NGO. Not what you're going to be interested in, but that's besides the point. So let's see here. Mark Carr, University of California, Santa Cruz. Boom. Mark Carr. Boom. Professor. Ecology and Evolution, Biology Department. And then there's some stuff here. Okay, so we found him. I'll come back to this. We'll leave that there. But that is one way in which you can find people. Just look up the papers that you're interested in. You can follow people on Twitter, right? So the scientific community on Twitter has changed dramatically in the past several years. Okay, used to be very, very thriving. Yeah, it's still kind of there, but it's not as thriving as it once thrived. Okay, but if you follow people on Twitter, people will sometimes post positions that, hey, I'm looking for a graduate student to start on this date and work on this project. All right, and so you follow some people that you're interested in, and then other people you might see their tweets as it gets retweeted. Okay. And finally, Google. Right, Google is probably going to be your most powerful ally in this situation. So I just use Google to find a paper, but Google, that's the one we're going to spend a little bit of time on. Okay. When you're looking for people, there are some important criteria, right? Right now, it's more about inclusivity than exclusivity, but you don't want to spend a lot of time on collecting data on someone who's not really going to be helpful. So, one, they got to be faculty at a graduate institution. So, with this kelp forest paper, which I've already closed, did I close it? I spoke too soon. This kelp forest paper, Jan or Jan Frywald is at Reef Check. That's not a graduate institution. All right? It's not a diss of Jan or Jan. It's just that they're not at a place that can give you a graduate degree. They might be a perfectly awesome scientist, and if you're in a kelp forest ecology, maybe you would end up working with them, but they could not be your advisor. Okay? So they gotta be faculty at a graduate institution. Don't limit yourself to quote unquote marine biology. First of all, marine biologists work in biology, zoology, physiology, etc. All right, for my master's, I did marine biology. For my PhD, I did marine biology. But my master's degree was in zoology. And my PhD was just in straight up biology. Okay? So don't think it has to be a marine biology department or it has to give me a degree in marine biology. Okay? Maybe you might work with a great evolutionary biologist who doesn't even do marine biology, right? Maybe they don't have any experience with fish, but you can learn the techniques of evolutionary biology from this person and apply it to fish. So, one thing to keep in mind in graduate school, the project that you do is more important than the actual discipline of the degree. Okay, no matter what they call the degree, it's the project that you work on. That is how you will define yourself. And like I said before, this list should be inclusive. Add people to it. Don't eliminate them just yet. Okay? Don't let geography scare you off. Many great marine biologists have jobs far from the coast. One of the most important tropical reef fish ecologists worked in outside of Toronto, right? Which is cold, 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 and really nowhere near the coast. All right, that's where his job was. But so when I say worked, he was employed there. That's where his position was. But he would do research and tropical marine reefs around the world. Okay, so don't let that scare you off. Also, look outside the US of A. Some of you might not even be in the United States if you're watching this video, but many of you are probably at least attending university in the United States. Okay, but consider looking outside of the United States of America, and there's whole lots of opportunities elsewhere. Okay, Europe, United Kingdom, which is kind of yes, kind of no Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, depending on where you go, English might not be a problem. I don't know if English is your first language or second language or third language, but a lot of graduate schools, a lot of science programs are done in English no matter where you are. Anyway, just don't think of, consider schools in Central America, South America. Don't limit yourself in that sense. All right, let's do it. Let's build this list, okay? And so remember, this list we're going to be including people. We're not going to be excluding people, with the exception of a few things. People that can't take graduate students because they're not at an institution that gives graduate degrees. Okay, so what do we have? I am an Excel geek. I like Excel. I do things in Excel. I think spreadsheets are the best way to do this. You do it however you want, but you're going to build a list somehow. Use Google Sheets, that way you can access it anytime you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Okay? Feel free to share this amongst other people. Okay? Someone might have someone on the list that's more appropriate for you than it is for them. All right. So, what do? Here we found this individual, Mark Carr. Now, at this stage, we don't want to spend a whole ton of time putting in lots of information. So, what do I have? You can arrange this however you like, but I have a rank. I'm not really going to rank them at this moment, but if I find someone who's like super, super awesome, maybe I'll put a 1 here so I know that those are someone I really, really want to look at. And if I find someone I'm like, yeah, kind of lukewarm on them, I don't know, maybe I'll give them a 5. But for the most part, we don't want to be thinking about that now. Name, boom, Mark Carr. Boom, paste it, Mark Carr. Let's make that so it fits. Where's the website? Here's the website. Now, he might have some more websites. Oh, whoops. There we go. There might be some other websites. So, here's his personal website. Here's his list of publications, his Google Scholar. This is probably a better website to get to, but for right now, we're good. We're just getting names. All right, what else do we need? Study area. So we found him when we are looking under kelp ecology, but you can usually scroll down and find something. All right, purpose of our research program is to better understand the structure and dynamics of population and communities of nearshore marine organisms and their ecosystems. That right there is plenty for us now. Right? So it's basically looking at ecology of nearshore marine communities, ecosystems. So I'm going to put that there in the study area. University. Now at this point, you might say this is enough information for me. I've got his name, I have his website that I can go back later, and I have the study area. Now, if you want to be able to read that, you might want to hit this little thing up here and word wrap it so you can read the entire thing. That's nice. Okay. But we're here, so let's get his university. It's UC Santa Cruz. So University of California Center. Can I copy it pretty easily? Oh, look right here. I'm just gonna copy that. That way, you don't have to bother typing it in. Anytime I can save some time by not having to type stuff in. Now that looks like garbage. I'm gonna do that. So he's at UC Santa Cruz. Email. Okay, sure. I'm gonna get his email. But the point is, I don't want to have to get a whole lot of stuff now. Okay, notes. I don't know. Is there something that in my first little look really stands out? Depends on what you're interested in. You might put something like has had many successful students, but now I think now we just err on the side of saving time and don't put any notes in there. But if you see someone, you're like, oh wow, this guy or this woman or this person is awesome, then you could just start that awesome, whatever you want. I'm not gonna hold you back, but the point is you don't want to spend a ton of time working on this, right? You want to spend time building the list, not necessarily building tons of details. And because I like the aesthetics of it, I'm going to make a bunch of blocks here. All right, so let's see. I'm going to just copy and paste. Let's delete all that. All right, let's find some other people. Mark Card, Jennifer Cassell, who is at UC Santa Barbara. Boom, Google her. Here's her research lab. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Why is this so slow? There we go. Look at that. Look how much fun they're having. All those students probably freezing. They get shrunk down, put inside a little fish bowl. Sorry, I shouldn't be making stupid jokes. Okay, the Cassell Lab. There's the link. Jen Cassell. Marine conservation and reef ecology. Lots and lots of stuff there. For right now, I'm just putting simple things there. Boom. Where is she? I remember she's from UC Santa Barbara. Here. We can just copy that. Alright. Email. Yeah, we can find the email. We don't see the email on this page. We don't really need it just yet. Alright? So, I'm not going to spend time looking around. But she might look at this and like, oh wow, she does a lot in her lab. Look at, they do stuff in cold water, they do submersibles, they do some tropical marine stuff. So maybe that's something you want to put on the notes. Very diverse lab topics. And then maybe like, you know what, I really want to come back and make sure I look at her again. I'm going to give her a rank of a 2. Okay, that's not a relative thing. It's just to say that yes, I want to take a look at her again in the future. She's not a slam dunk like a number one, but boom. Okay, but remember, the name of this game is numbers and speed. Right? We want to build a big, big, big list, and we don't want to waste our time worrying about little details. Little details will come later. Okay, and these are just some people. Let's say you want to work on, you don't want to go that route, right? So this is looking for research papers, and that's a great way to do it. But you could also just do research faculty. Let's say you want to do coral reef fish behavior. Who knows? It's a wonderful thing to do. So, research faculty coral reef fish behavior. All right, and so here we're going to get a bunch of people listed. I'm just going to open a bunch of tabs here. Some of them are actual people, some of them are departments, some of them are just like news. Let's see here. So here's at University of Miami's Department of Marine Biology and Ecology. All right, this is the graduate school, and there are a number of people listed. A lot of these people are not going to be what I just searched for, which is coral reef fish behavior, because these are all of the faculty at in this department, and that's fine, right? That's another way that you can do this. You can go and look at a particular university. Let's say you can just find a university that offers ecology, marine biology, physiology, evolutionary biology, whatever, and just look at all the faculty that you see. But here's Joe Seraphy, and he doesn't really do. I'm looking for coral reef fish. I don't see anything there, but let's just do this. This is U Miami Rasmus faculty. All right, and we're just going to put that there. And this is going to be something that we're going to look at later. And so notes, this is all U Miami Marine Biology grad faculty. Okay, and this is something I definitely want to take a look at later, maybe look in more detail. So I'm going to give it like a 2 again, right? That's just sort of my arbitrary ranking. All right, what about Harbor Branch? All right, now so this one gave me one person. All right, this individual, they're the principal investigator, so they run the department. They're in fisheries, ecology, and conservation, and ecology and conservation targeted fishes and vulnerable species. Okay, yeah, so this guy might be applicable. So let's put him in, right? Remember, what we're doing is we're making a big, big list. So we're not trying to be arbitrary about taking people out. Study area, ecology and conservation targeted fishes and vulnerable species. Boom, 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 boom. Shellfish, the sharks, and rays. Okay, good. That's plenty, plenty, plenty. University is a FAU Harbor Branch. So I'm just going to write FAU Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute. When you get to know these things, you know the little acronyms. Email, worry about that later. I already got the website, notes. Fine. Boom. Another one on the list. Here is another one. This is the Johansson Lab. So this is about the PI. Let's go to home. All right, so the Johansson Fish Resilience Program. I gotta admit, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at here. This looks like it's. All right, so it's stationed at. The Fish Resilience Program is comprised of the Fish Resilience Research Laboratory and the Fish Resilience Center, stationed at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. Okay, All right, so this is related to research. So I probably should have known a little bit more about this, but um, so okay, and this person is an associate research professor. They got tenure in 2023. Congratulations. Okay, and here's a little bit of information about them. Still not a ton. It's just, I mean, it's not exactly what I was expecting. Let's see here. Team. There we go. All right. So Jacob L. Johansson. So see how sometimes this takes a little bit of moving around, but if you move quick, you're not gonna waste a whole lot of time. He's from Denmark. It's a nice country. Okay. These are just other members of his lab. He's got graduate students. That could be important later. Strong background in ecophysiology and behavioral ecology. Research focuses on how tropical reef organisms react and adapt to natural and human induced environmental stress. Boom. Okay. That's the study area. Paste that there. University is the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. That's all we need for now. Okay? Now, here's an example. This is not directly to anyone's research. I mean, it's about someone's research. All right? It's about Giacomo Bernardi. Guy, he's a big, fairly well known fish fish ecologist. More than fish ecology. Okay. Um, and so, but here, just clicking on this has brought us to him. Um, so let's include him. Boom. He's at UC Santa Cruz, right? Is that right? Yes. You here? I'll just copy this, paste it down here. All right. So this is not his particular website. So let's see if we can find his website. Can't find it. But maybe you read this and you're like, this guy is pretty cool. Again, we're trying to save time. I'm going to put a 2 here. And let's put this as a website. That's not his personal website, but it can lead us to it. Okay? All right. So, anyway, Phil Lobel, fine person to have. Here's the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. Here's a whole bunch of faculty. So, similar to what we did before, these are people who are there. Oh, there's our buddy Jacob Johansson. These are a whole bunch of people. And so, like we did with the University of Miami page, now you can look at this and kind of scroll through and find people that you could potentially work with. Now, going to the University of Hawaii, working at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology, that could be kind of cool, but don't let the idea of Hawaii sort of obscure your vision, right? So spend a lot of time looking through here if you want. A lot of great people here, but you want to make sure that you are getting lots and lots of people. Okay? You don't want to have a list of 30 people from the University of Hawaii and no one else. Okay? And also remember, I do Control T, yeah. A lot of these people are not going to have the same interests as you, right? So universities don't hire people that all do the same thing, right? So there will be some overlap, but you don't want to. You want to split it up, and the universities will want to split it up. So there'll be some people here that you're like very happy to work with, and there will be other people here. They might be perfectly cool people, but they don't do research that interests you. Okay. So that's kind of how you would use Google to build your list. Okay, and so what do we have for our list? This is just a list of 6 people. That's nowhere near as big as your list should be, but it's a good start. Okay. Oh, I just had an idea. Is this even gonna work? This might blow up in my face, everybody. Chat GPT. Now, okay, Chat GPT can be pretty annoying, and you gotta learn how to do lots of stuff without AI, but sometimes it can be useful. Let's try this out. Let's try this out. Let's say, give me a list of the research. No, yeah, research. Graduate. Get rid of research. Graduate faculty who study coral reef fish evolution. Let's see how that works. This might just blow up in my face, but let's see how that works. Searching the web, searching the web. Here's a curated. It's a curated list. Woo. All right. Hey, look at this. David Bellwood, excellent. Bernardi, excellent. Code Colette St. Mary. All right, good. Liana Bounds, no, she doesn't work on, right? Known for working Corypha. Yeah, she doesn't really do fish. So I'm looking for Cory fish. She doesn't really use fish, but okay. Um, that's pretty good. So anyway, just because someone pops up, right? This is the thing with AI. It's not always going to give you the best answer, but here we go. Here's like a way to get it. So these people work on symbiosis. This is a little bit outside of my field. Diego Lerman, yeah, good guy. Doesn't really work too much on fish, I'm afraid. Okay, that would be pretty good. There are some people that are missing. There are definitely some people I look at that list and there's some people who should be listed and who are not. But that's a start. I say, give me the top researchers in coral reef fish evolution. Give me the current. And let's say top 20 researchers. I'm not gonna say top because if someone's watching this and they see like, oh, they weren't listed, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But you could do top if you want. Give me 20 current researchers in coral reef fish evolution. Searching the web. Giacomo Bernardi again. All right, all right. Some of these people, I'm not sure who they are. There's David Bellwood again. Definitely top guy. Mark Hay. All right, again, there are some people that are missing from here that I'm not going to tell them that they're missing, but there's some people that are missing from here. But there's some people here that do some really cool and interesting things. Okay? And you could use this as a starting place. Okay? But definitely do not use it as a finishing place. Okay? So, that's what this whole video is about, is building this. Building this list. What should your goal be? I think by the start of August of the year you're going to apply to graduate schools. It's kind of hard to say exactly what you should do, but let's say names and basic details on at least 30 people. They have to be faculty at graduate institutions. If you have the time, go for more than 30. Okay? And then later on through the summer and late summer, early fall, you're then going to winnow it down. Whittle it down? I don't know. I think it's whittle it down. Winnow would be something else. Whittle it down to 10-ish names, maybe 15. Okay? But for right now, unless you have a very clear idea of what you want, you are casting a wide net. Even if you have an idea that you want to work with cetaceans. I want to do cetacean social systems. Even if that's what you currently want to do, you want to have a wide net that includes obviously all cetacean researchers, but maybe people who work on social systems of other marine animals, other marine mammals, other marine organisms like fishes, birds, whatever. Okay? So later on, that's when we'll get into taking out people from the list. Okay? I guess that's it. Good luck. Get rolling.